Hey everyone, Terry Vinson with IP Expert, and today what we're going to do is we're going to begin focusing our studies towards the CCNA Routing and Switching exam. Like I said, my name's Terry Vinson. I'm the primary instructor for the Routing and Switching track here at IP Expert, and this particular course is possibly one of my all-time favorites. The reason that it's one of my all-time favorites is the fact that this was probably the single most difficult course I ever took and the single most difficult test I ever took in my entire career, all the way up to the CCIE Routing and Switching exam. Now, I'm a dual CCIE. I hold CCIEs in Routing and Switching and in Data Center. So I'm trying to stay current on the technologies as everything begins to move towards this larger concept of the data center and these split enterprise deployments. Now, the main thing that I want to drive home here is that what we're going to do is we're going to focus first of all on what the CCNA exam is. It's comprised of two components, but you can also take a single topic exam. So the two components are ICND1 and ICND2, interconnecting network devices 1 and 2. And primarily the main difference between the two is the fact that we're going to explore different levels of technologies. So on the first blush, we're going to focus on all of the stuff that we need to become considered to be CCENTs, Cisco Certified Entry Network Technicians, or entry-level network technicians, just depending on how you want to say it. Now, what that means is that we're going to want to step into a conversation of exactly what it is we're going to be talking about, and the best way to do that is going to be to go to Cisco's website and explore the topics that we need to actually follow and work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Cisco's website, and the main page that I like to use is www.cisco.com/go/CCNA and press enter. Now what this is going to do is it's going to take us to Cisco's site, and we're going to be looking at everything there is to do with this idea of CCNA. And what you can see, or what you should very clearly see here, is I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Notice that we have lots of tracks that we can study for. We can study for the CCNA Routing and Switching exam. That's what we're here to talk about right now. We also have CCNA Security, CCNA Service Provider, and CCNA Service Provider Operations. And it goes all the way down into video and voice and wireless. And all of these courses are obviously offered by IP Expert. But like I said, our primary focus right now is this idea of CCNA Routing and Switching. Now, for us to focus on CCNA Routing and Switching, we need to know exactly what it is Cisco expects from us. And this website is what's going to tell us how to find that information. So what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and just clear the screen out, and we're going to take a look at the context with regard to the CCNA Routing and Switching exam. We'll just simply scroll down just a little bit here. And what we're going to see is what I was describing earlier. Remember, I mentioned we had two paths to become certified. We have the single test method, which is going to be the 200 or 200-120, and then we have the dual test format that we could take using the ICND1 and ICND2, which are going to be in the format of 100-101 and 201 or 200-101. Now these tests, that's the course that I actually recommend students take. So let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about approach tactics right now when it comes to actually taking the exam. I took this bad bear up here, the very top one. I took the big test. It's on all of the topics, ICND1 and ICND2, all rolled together, and it's a lot harder. It's going to be more stuff crammed into less time, and you're going to be required to know a broader range of information. Now, if you take it in the two pieces, if you pass ICND1, you get a certification, CCENT, that I described earlier. If you pass the second one after passing the first one, they give you your CCNA Routing and Switching certification. These are the main elements that are single-handedly the most important components to starting a career in network certification. Now, when we look at this and we start stepping into exactly what's happening, like I said, let's go ahead, I'll clear this off. And let's take a look at the single test path, because that's the one I'm going to follow for the output or the duration of this class. Why? Because I want to teach one course that's going to cover all of the information that we actually need to know. So scrolling down, what we're going to see here is a tab that says Exam Topics. When we hit this, This is giving us a list of 8 categories that Cisco is going to ensure that we're responsible for understanding inside and out. These are the topics that we're going to see in the context of the exam. Let's take a little bit more critical look at it right now. First, we're going to be responsible for the operation of IP data networks. That's going to boil down to the basic fundamentals all the way up to mid or medium level networks. We're going to have to focus on layer 2 technologies, LAN switching technologies. And that's going to be where we start working with switches, high density port configurations where we can hook up lots and lots of hosts to a huge number of servers, and we can even do it across infrastructure as long as we have layer 2 adjacency. And we'll talk about the significance of that very shortly. But we can actually have closets inside of the same building. We can even have centralized points of management between buildings in a campus, all on the same network. Now, other parts of this is extending down to IP addressing. We're going to study IPv4 and IPv6. No engineer is prepared to face a real-world scenario unless they have a firm understanding of IPv6. The other parts of here are going to extend to routing technologies, IP services, security, troubleshooting, and WAN deployments, as well as troubleshooting WAN deployments. So you can see we've got a lot of stuff here, but what I want to call your attention to is that notice that Cisco has given us on this site a percentage range. So for instance, topic 1, which is going to be the operation of IP data networks, is listed at 5%. Now, does that mean that when you sit the exam, 5% of the 100% of points is going to be devoted towards this particular topic? It's probably going to be a range similar to it, but the way I want us to think about this is going to be the amount of time that we're going to spend focusing on these particular topics. So if we were to say that we had 100 hours of study time, now I'm just using an arbitrary number, we're going to need a lot more than that to be able to pass the CCNA exam. But if we have 100 hours, that means of that 100 hours, roughly 5 days of that time should be devoted to this particular topic. 20 days would be devoted to this idea of LAN switching technologies. Now what you're going to see is the biggest chunks of areas are going to be LAN switching, IP routing technologies, and troubleshooting. So that's where we're going to spend the majority of our time having conversations about theoretical aspects, about real-world deployments, and about how we're going to be able to position ourselves best to be able to fill the needs of an organization that's looking to hire a network professional. Now, again, I don't want to scare anyone, because what we're going to do is I'm going to highlight, or I'm going to go to the details of something like, let's take a look at routing technologies. Let me dump my pen here. Routing technologies. I'm going to click the details button here, and what you're going to see is a detailed, organized list of every topic we need to know inside and out to have the best possible chance of being able to pass the CCNA exam. Now, I don't want you to become overwhelmed. What we're going to do is we're going to handle all of these topics, not just for the IP routing, but for everything in the context of the exam. And we're going to talk to it to a significant amount of detail to where you're going to have enough information to be able to pass the exam. Now, how am I going to do that? Am I going to do that with 3 and 4 hour long lectures? No. What we're going to do is I'm going to divide it into small, digestible bits of information. I guarantee they're going to be probably no shorter than, say, 10 minutes, and hopefully no longer than 30 minutes. And by doing it that way, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to spoon feed the information such that I'm going to try to give you stopping points where you can rest and we can prevent the possible outcome of being sensory or informational overload. So in other words, we've got a lot of topics that we want to talk about. I've showed you where to find this information. Another really cool aspect to this is that you can go in and you can download a PDF that's going to give you all of the information. So you can see right here, this is every bit of the information that Cisco says that we need to know. I'm just scrolling down to the end. It's 8 pages of information. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover every topic piece by piece. We're going to talk about it from a theoretical point of view, and then I'm going to actually implement it on the equipment. Yes, in this course, we're going to have access to live gear. And for those of you that don't have access to live gear, what I'm going to do is I'm trying to give you enough information and enough instruction to be able to utilize third-party applications like GNS3 or even simulators. Boson makes an excellent simulator, and also the ability, when the time comes, to use Cisco's personal emulator, which is called VIRL, Virtual Internet Routing Labs. The commercial solution is called CML, which is the Cisco Modeling Lab. So with that being said, like I said, my name is Terry Vinson. I'm looking very forward to us working together in order to be able to help you satisfy your technological and personal requirements to take and succeed at the CCNA routing and switching exam. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye-bye.